All right, let's dive into Nera's training so that way we can stay consistent at home. Whenever she's doing things that we want to keep seeing, like following our commands, we want to make sure we reinforce and reward that behavior with either praise, petting, or treats. And whenever she's doing things that we don't want to keep seeing, or she's not following our commands, we want to make sure we follow through with our training equipment. So let's go over Nera's training equipment. This is her prong collar. She's going to wear this whenever she is on a leash. How we take this on and off is you're just going to secure one of the links and push through like so. To put it back together, we're just going to pinch the prong and put it through the other holes of the other side. Whenever she wears this, the leash is going to attach to the D-ring that swivels. And how we use this, say she's in the heel command. Heel just means walk next to me on a nice loose leash. Say she's not really doing that, she's starting to pull ahead. We're going to say no to verbally mark the incorrect behavior we don't want to see. We're going to give her a pop and then remind her heel. So no, pop, heel. And then when she gets back into that position, we're going to give her that verbal praise, petting, and treats to let her know she's doing a good job. So with this, it's a pop and release rather than a pull and hold. Let's go over her e-collar. How we turn this on and off is there's a red dot on the collar and the remote. We touch these together. It's a magnetic key, so it turns on the collar. The green light flashing means it's on, charged, and ready to go. On and off button on the back for the remote. Push and hold until the screen lights up. You're going to see level 25 pop up on the screen. This is Nera's level, and then we're going to focus on the black S button today. S just stands for it stands for stimulation, so it's kind of like an electric muscle stimulator. So say she's in that heel position and she's not really where we want her. We're going to say no, marking that incorrect behavior we don't want to see. Black S button, heel. No, button, heel. Then when she gets back to where we want her, we can give her that verbal praise, petting, and treats to let her know she's doing a good job. So depending on the level of situation or the level of distraction that Nera has, we can either use one of these or we can use both of these. It just depends on the situation that we are in. With the remote collar, we're going to put this on first thing in the morning, and it's going to be the last thing that we take off at night. So this way we always have that form of communication with Nera throughout the day. With the prong collar, at the beginning, she is going to need it on in the house with the leash, so that way we can kind of set those boundaries at the beginning and then slowly fade away from needing the leash in the house. So now that we've gone over her training equipment, let's go over her commands. We've already kind of gone over the heel. So about 80 to 90% of a walk should be in the heel position. The other 10 to 20%, you can give her the release word free. Free just means she's not in any set command and she can kind of go do her own thing and go sniff and do her business. So like we're going to follow her around rather than her following us around. Let's move on to sit. Sit means stay as implied until she's given that release word free. So with this is really good for those door manners so that she doesn't think that she can just bolt through the door. So whenever we approach a door, whether it's on the inside or the outside, we're going to have her sit. As we open the door, we're going to remind Nera sit because opening that door is going to be a big distraction. So remind her sit. And then if she does stay, that's great. Then we either have two options. We can either heel through the door with her or give her the release word free and have her go on her own. So if she sits and she stays, perfect. If not, we're going to follow through with our training equipment. With this, we want to make sure we do this until she gets it right. So this way we set the same boundaries at home that we have here at the facility for her. In this way, she does it on the first time that we ask and not the seventh time that we ask her. So now we've gone over sit. Let's move on to down. Down also means stay as implied. With down, we don't want to release her from a distance because then she's getting rewarded for coming to us and not staying in that down stay. So when we put her in a down and we do a little bit of a distraction or whatever, and we want to release her, we're going to go back to where she is at and release her from there. And whenever we reward this behavior, we want to make sure we reward it as low to the ground as we can. So this way she knows that the positive zone is going to be low to the ground. It's going to help her stay in that down stay. Let's move on to place. Place of the boundary stay, ideally on an elevated bed, just because an elevated bed has clear boundaries and it's easy for her to know where the boundary is. With place, it's really good to use whenever you're having company come over. So this way she kind of has her own little area to experience what's going on. And she's not jumping all over the ghosts while they're trying to come in and take off their shoes or whatever. It just gives her a little place to kind of get her head calm before she gets to see the company. So with place, we're also not going to release from a distance. We want to make sure we release her from where she's at so that way she doesn't get rewarded for coming to us and not staying on the place stay. With this, we also reward on the bed so that way she knows the positive zone is the boundary stay. When you first practice this, ideally have a leash on her so that way if she decides to get off the bed, we have a way to get her back to the bed when we are practicing this. So now let's move on to come when called. With come when called, we want to make sure we reward this every single time. So this way she gets a positive association with coming to us, it gets that reward history, so that way she wants to come to us to get that reward. Whenever we're practicing this, ideally she's going to be a little bit distracted when we need her to come back to us. So we're going to give her that release word free, have her get distracted, have her do her own thing. When we call her to us, we're going to say it in a loud, firm tone, praise her as she's coming to us, back up to invite her into our space, have her sit, and then give her the reward. Whenever you first practice this, ideally have a 30 to 50-foot leash on her. So that way, if she does get extra distracted and she doesn't want to pay attention to us, we have a way to kind of reel her back in like a fish. So say she's out there and we call her to us and she doesn't come to us, we're going to say no, follow through with our training equipment. So say no, black S button, come. As she's coming to us, we're still going to praise her, and then whenever she gets to us, we're still going to reward her, because just because she got corrected out there for not coming to us, we still want to reward her when she comes to us, so that way she still gets that a positive association with coming to us. So that's come when called. Let's move on to leave it. Leave it just means don't grab that. Practice with dog safe foods to start out with. We're going to toss something on the ground, say leave it. If she does, great. If not, follow through with the training equipment. When you first practice this, ideally have the leash on her, so that way we can guide her into a new scenario if she decides to not listen, and so we have a way to communicate with her. So that is all of Nera's commands. So we want to make sure we reinforce and reward the behavior which we want to keep seeing, and then those behaviors that we don't want to see, we're going to follow through with our training equipment to decrease them. So stay fun, or have fun, stay consistent, and this is going to be Nera doing her commands. Down. Good, down. Down. Good, down. Good, down. Good, down. Good, down. Free. Good girl. All right, let's dive into the other features of the remote. Now that we know how to turn it on, let's go over how to turn it off. It's the same concept. There's a red dot on the remote and collar. We just touch these together. The red light means it's off. How we turn off the remote, there's an on and off button on the back. Just like we turned it on, you're just going to push and hold. It does take a little bit of time. Once the screen goes black, that means it is off. So we've already gone over the black S button, so now let's go over the red S button. If I push the red S button, it's going to jump her level from 25 to 45. This is a boost feature for whenever Nera is doing something dangerous that is going to cause her harm, such as chasing a car or running out into the street. Whenever she is doing something like that, her adrenaline is all the way up here, and level 25 only reaches about here. So this way we can jump to 45 and have a way to communicate with her whenever she is in that adrenaline state of mind. So this is for emergency cases only, whenever she is doing something dangerous that is going to cause her harm. Then let's go over the T on the other side. This is just a vibrate feature. We use this to make sure that the collar is on and ready to go. You can also use this in her training much longer down the line whenever she doesn't really need the stim, but she's still doing something that we don't want to see. So we can just give her that buzz reminder of like, hey, whatever you're doing, I don't want to see it, knock it off. But that'll be in her future training when she knows the boundaries. On the back, there's an M/C button. M just stands for momentary, C stands for continuous. At the beginning of her training, we started out as continuous at a very low level to introduce the remote to her. Then when we get further into the training, we move over to momentary at a little bit of a higher level. So at this point in her training, she should stay on momentary, so you shouldn't have to worry about that button. And then the on and off button on the back of the remote, if you click it once, it's going to be a flashing light. If you click it twice, it's going to be a steady flashlight, and then if you click it that third time, it's going to turn the flashlight off. So it's really good to use whenever you let her out at night, so that way you can see her. These are both rechargeable. There's a charging port on the remote and the charging port on the collar. They have little rubber pieces over them, so that way they can't get clogged or something get in there and you can't get it out. All right, so right now Nera is at a level 25. Say that she is starting to have a big reaction to it, or you notice that it's just not really working for her. We can change that level just by pushing down this dial until the 1D flashes. Once it's flashing, we can rotate this knob and change it to whatever level we want. Right now, level 25 seems to be working great. So how we lock this down is we're just going to put it back to level 25, push and hold until the 1D stops flashing. So this way, if we put the remote in our pocket, we can't accidentally change her level and not know it. It just locks it so that way we know what level it is at. If Nera gets a little bit of longer hair and you notice that these prongs right here aren't really making good contact with her skin, there are longer prongs in the box. You can just switch it over. The tool comes with. You just twist them off and replace them. Right now she is in the short prongs, and I don't think that her hair is going to get too long, but if it does and you notice it's not making good contact, you can always change it to the longer prongs. Here is the charger. You can charge the collar and the remote at the same time. It lasts for about 2 days, so if she wears it for about 12 to 14 hours a day. So if you charge it every other day, you should be fine. Then there is a manual at the bottom of the box if you have any questions about the features of the remote. The remote and collar are both waterproof, so if it gets wet, it's not a big deal. Just make sure you rotate it around the neck because it could irritate one part of the neck if it is wet and it is rubbing. So if you just have that issue, just rotate it to the other side of the neck. If you have any problems with the remote collar or anything, you can contact the company, and it has a 2-year warranty. So if there is any issues, they can get back to you and get it replaced or get it fixed if you need it. So that is all the other features of the remote. So have fun, stay consistent, and that is everything.